YouTube, what it do, man? It's your boy Benji. We back in between the ropes. If you're new, please don't forget to subscribe. We are nearing 600 subscribers, bro. This is getting crazy, man. I appreciate y'all showing love. You've been dropping live streams, been dropping content on the Patreon. I do appreciate y'all joining the community and trying to support. Additionally, a lot of y'all recommended matches for me to check out, storylines for me to check out, and more. Dude, I'm excited. A lot of people have also told me some movies and TV shows to watch, so I'm going to be doing that as well. We're doing a lot of those reviews. Additionally, a lot of that's on Patreon. I'm trying to drop some of the edited stuff I can on YouTube. I appreciate y'all for showing support as always. This episode of AEW Dynamite was solid. So it opened up with MJF. He's talking to the camera, and I'm gonna lie, he is good. He is good. He mentions how he will send Mark Briscoe to hell, which he may be familiar with, as it is akin to Delaware. This is crazy. He holds the CMLL belt, and he calls Briscoe white trash who got lucky. I really like the dichotomy between these two. MJF looks down on him while Briscoe seems them at the same level. But at the end of the day, the only thing that MJF is going to understand, a couple knuckles to the face. So I am excited to see what is going to culminate between these two. The matches opened with Jon Moxley versus Speedball Bailey. Speedball came out with a bunch of strikes before Moxley mounts him in the corner to a sea of boos. The people can act like they dislike this guy, but they know they are down for the Death Riders. The refs do care a little less about Moxley's tactics, because there was a moment in the match where he poked Speedball in the eyes, and the ref was just completely oblivious to this. Or maybe he did see it, because while he tries to yap to Moxley about how he should just do better, Marina hits Speedball with a slam outside of the ring. We got Kevin Knight stepping up to Moxley Marina, sticking up for his boy, which at the end of the day did help Speedball rest up and hit a crazy moonsault to the outside of the ring. He tried to do everything that he could in order to ensure Moxley was going to stay down. There was a crazy moment where he strung Moxley across the barricade and hit like a moonsault, but landed on his knees, collapsing Moxley's back. Dude, that was crazy. I enjoyed to see the clash of styles, and this is what it should be. The people should get behind the smaller, more agile guys. He tries to keep his distance long enough to keep the bigger guy, in this case Moxley, down. Things got even more interesting pretty quickly as Darby Allin showed up. And after Moxley kicks out of a crazy shooting star splash, Darby snatches Wheeler Yuta. Like, straight up takes the dude. Speedball tried a bunch of combos and submissions, but at the end of the day, Moxley just won't stay down. He was able to plant that boy and get a 1-2-3. He and Marina chased after Darby. And then the cameras quickly cut to Tony Storm and Alex Windsor backstage. And dude, Tony is amazing. These two just walk into a bunch of sexual puns, and somewhere in this promo there's a challenge. But they waltz off. Like literally. Clasp hands and waltz off. Before the camera cuts back to Moxley and Marina making it outside. This moment kind of had me waiting to see what was going on. And I thought it was pretty funny. Pretty creative. There's a body bag outside, and Darby Allin drives by laughing, and Wheeler Yuta is revealed to be inside the body bag with a piece of paper stuck to his head that says Forbidden Door. This is obviously a challenge. So we got a little questions to answer. What's Moxley gonna do? End of the day, I enjoy this type of stuff. It's a challenge, but it's not one that's traditionally done. We aren't just seeing people backstage and in the ring. This shows us the type of levels that Darby's willing to go to, all while playing mind games along the way. I thought it was interesting. I liked it. And right after that confusion, we get Mercedes Moné showing up and hopping out of a limo. There's probably 1,600 belts on, and she lets Renee the reporter know not to be a mark and cuts her off in the middle of a glaze fest. These are some of the first words we get from her after her match against Tony. But what I got from this was Taz making a solid point. Mercedes Moné may need a limo solely for her belts. The next match was a four-way between Queen Aminata, Alex Windsor, Billie Starkz, and Sky Blue. I thought it was a nice touch to see some of the bad guys working together on a couple of combo moves. we did get some really good content from these women. And there was a dope moment where we saw them all crash into one another outside of the ring. They were all out there hooping, and everything was pretty crispy. There was a good balance, too, of some of the women competing 1v1 and train wreck, which is what I love to see in multi-man matches. There was a crazy moment where, while STARKZ and WINDSOR were battling inside of the ring, AMINATA planted Sky Blue onto a chair with a crazy driver. It was sick. And we even got a moment where Athena tried to interrupt, but it was Tony who took her out. Alex WINDSOR was able to win with a roll-up, and then the music hits. Mercedes Moné makes her entrance, ruining the celebration. I ain't gonna lie, I like to point out, I do like this look on Mercedes. She's looking good. She takes out Miss WINDSOR with a backstabber, and then Athena takes out Tony. So, her and Mercedes stare each other down, but they won't make a move on one another, because you know how the saying goes. The enemy, wait, hold on, how's it go? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So they leave it at that, and they walk away. All we can ask for is character growth. And this was funny, man. So Renee, the reporter, forgets the Young Bucks' names. And just, these guys just lose it. They go over to the production team, and they go off on one of the guys as there were a request for the production package to be amended. Again, I'm pretty new. But it's very obvious that these guys were bragging when it came to their EVP status. And now without them, they don't know what to do, nor how to adjust to life not being at the top. I enjoy this because not only is it funny, but it does get to show something significant to these guys who have, I'm assuming, typically been at the top. We get to see them go through their strides along the way. And what is this going to mean for them? And what is this going to mean for the rest of the division? I think it's a compelling story, while it also is pretty funny. But yeah, they go on a big long rant about the many things that they want to be done and how they want things to be said. Verbatim. Meanwhile, at the ring, Don Callis is on the side of Kyle Fletcher, who shows up with his new TNT Championship belt. He's fresh off a win against Dustin. I kind of got upset when they said that because of the look. Look. I was trying not to see who won this match because I would be watching it on Patreon. But it is what it is. We still watching it over there. Kyle Fletcher versus Dustin. Y'all told me it was going to be 5. So I'm checking it out. Dude, throughout this promo, Don Callis is getting a lot of heat. But hey, no lie. It's obvious that Don Callis knows what he's doing. I would align myself with this dude. But I do wonder what it takes to get to the top. Kyle makes a good point while he gets the mic. Dustin Rhodes is 60 years old. He should not be in the ring. Now, this is I kind of like, I don't even know. This is kind of like a funny moment, but it was crazy because these sickos engage in some commentary that is like absolutely just sickening to say at the very least, without the visual to complement the audio. You guys can catch it. I'm not going to repeat what they said. But this is all about a photo. All the visual descriptions and language that they were using was to describe a photo of Don Callis putting a title on Kyle Fletcher. That's kind of funny, I ain't gonna lie. Adam Copeland is interviewed backstage, and he kind of shares his sentiments about the Christian comments. Pretty quickly, he gets to the point and says that Christian hasn't learned, and he's got his hands full. Quite frankly, he has done bad, and he's an a-hole. But he's constructed a marvelous plan as he's wiggled his way around the restraining order to secure a match against Stokely. Now this puts FTR in a tough position. What are they going to do? So as we get the opportunity to kind of ponder on what's going to go on next with these guys, we get the tag team tournament match of BRODIDO versus the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks get their orb back in their entrance. Well, at least for a second. They can't get their screen up. You know, like when you have the garage door and it opens and you gotta like time it right in order to get out. That's kind of like what we saw with these guys coming out to the ring. I thought that was pretty funny. The ring announcer also hilariously quotes the entirety of what these guys told the production team to do. So, like I mentioned, they were given commands on what to do for the two brothers. And they literally did follow it verbatim. So the ring announcers literally saying the entire thing. It was funny, man. And even the pyro was miscued, and then we get like ice cream truck music. But I will say, without the EVPs and jobber entrances aside, the Jacksons can go. BRODIDO takes the momentum early with some sick tag team moves. And then Brody readying BRODIDO to a moonsault outside of the ring was just icing on the cake. These guys, they make it happen. Again, I do like the way the big guys are presented. They're presented as big guys. Weight classes should matter. They're fighting. But anyways, the Young Bucks have some amazing tag team moves, and it's at least presented pretty well in this match. I think they have been together longer, so they're a little more resilient and they're a little more crisp. And at the end of the day, they've been there. So they may be down, but they're not out. But yeah, it's pretty crazy that just on a Wednesday, we're getting great hoops. But yeah, we get some crazy power moves tonight, some high flying attacks, and overall just great creativity. Good show so far, for sure. I will mention, I might just have to get to a show. No. I have to get to a show. I gotta catch one of these. Like, I'm telling you, these guys are going at it, and there was even a dope moment in the middle of the fight, which I don't think I've seen. It's two guys fighting, kind of tight roping on the barricade. There were a bunch of near falls this match, and the crowd was hyped the entire time. But in the end, it is BRODIDO who went on a crazy tag team move. This was a move they tried earlier and failed, but the second charm was a charm, and it got them the W. They're going to advance to the next round, where they face in the Tag Team Championship Gauntlet match, FTR. Now things are sizzling backstage as MVP weighs in on the match, and even though he respects BRODIDO, the Hurt Syndicate will take them out or FTR down. Whoever wins, they don't really care. These boys are not scared. MJF crashes the interview and begs for approval. It isn't long before MVP just comes to the decision and kicks MJF out of the syndicate. And even though he loves him like a brother, if he succeeds in any of his endeavors, Bobby Lashley will be coming for them. And though it's normally just business, by then it'll be personal. This is again why I like a lot of the backstage segments, because we're building towards something. We're seeing how many of these stories and characters and people all intertwine, and how one moment affects another. And I like it. I like the cohesion. It's not just random BS going on. Anyways, Stoke eventually responds to Cope, and he talks about how he's injured, bald, and holeless. So at the end of the day, he's been fighting an uphill battle his entire life. He's used to this. He's actually willing to fight against Adam Copeland, and actually mentions that he'd be the one to beat him, and he'd love to do it. And I guess that'll tarnish the career of Adam Copeland. Sounds like a trap to me, but he tugged on the heartstrings of the ego that Adam Copeland will have, losing to a manager. I think that Swerve versus Okada will be a very good match at Forbidden Door, and Swerve reminisces on the things that he's done to win, including beatdowns against his friend, Will Ospreay. He mentions being a one-of-one wrestler and that he could see fear in the eyes of Okada. Swerve was fumbling this promo a little bit, but if you ask me, it was pretty cool. I think the match at the end of the day will be fine. Look, y'all told me to give Willow Nightingale a chance. I heard that she's fine, but she's crazy. I don't even understand what she's got going on, but I let it slide this week too, as she was the one to interrupt a Queen AMINATA promo. How Queen talked about how she lost and what's next for her. I mean, let's look at Willow's fit in the first place. She's wearing a sparkly unicorn shirt. But she mentioned in this promo that she just wants to smile and wrestle. I get it. She's Miss Positive. But it is not long before KRIS Statlander shows up. There's a lot of sarcasm in the middle of this promo, and I can sense the tension, which kind of comes off as like goofy at the same time. Maybe it's just the people that are in this. But then Willow, of all people, lets Miss Statlander know that if they cannot be serious, they cannot talk. But when Miss Statlander is serious, then they can talk. This leads to Miss Statlander throwing confetti in the air. Or like paper. I don't even know what that is. And then she just runs away. Alright. This is going to culminate in something, I think, on Saturday. So I'll check it out. I'll try and give them more of a chance. I'm trying to understand what they got going on. We finally get the MVP grudge match. Or I'm sorry, the main event grudge match of MJF versus Mark Briscoe. The commentators call MJF a coward as he attempts to leave the ring early and messes with the fan. Briscoe avenges the young boy and these guys tussle in the crowd. Briscoe, I will say, is a very resourceful guy. He utilizes a chair that someone was sitting in order to launch himself into a step-up blockbuster outside of the ring. That was crazy. He also sets a table up outside of the ring, but the time he spends doing that allows MJF to land some offense. These guys continue to battle, and Mark Briscoe gains some momentum, and eventually landing a froggy bow on MJF, which, at the end of the day, it should have ended the match, but MJF kicks out. I told y'all, we gotta watch out for Briscoe. He's teeter-tottering on that edge. He places MJF on the table, and then he gets to the top rope for a froggy bow. But yeah, MJF moves at the last second, and Briscoe goes right through the table. I did think it was interesting because this dude really hates MJF so much, he was willing to risk a DQ in order to enlist some punishment to this dude. MJF tries to get Briscoe counted out, but Briscoe is too resilient. Unfortunately, for the count of 9, he should have stayed down, but he makes it to the edge of the ring. This is where MJF just grabs him and punches his head through the mat with a heat seeker. And even though his foot is on the rope, the ref doesn't see it. MJF wins, and I'd like this. This could lead to an asterisk of a W for MJF. MJF just takes the opportunity to go ahead and bloody Mark Briscoe with his big pankarang, and Hangman Page comes out, of all people, to save Briscoe. I thought it was funny because, again, we see MJF trying to run away, and Hangman Page catches him lacking in the crowd. These guys start rumbling. Like, to the point where, again, to kind of further stamp on the fact that MJF is a coward, while these guys are fighting, he's grabbing fistfuls of Hangman's hair. Pretty nicely done. And when, of course, the window is open for Hangman Page to really land that knockout punch, MJF's out of there. That's kind of how to end things. And I'm interested to see what's going to go on next episode. This is a pretty good show. I mean, y'all can probably tell from the first couple seconds of this review, but as you can see, a lot went on. And I think that we kind of get to see a lot of character development, growth, and intermingling of the characters within this locker room here. So I'm interested to see what this carries over to Collision and then the next week here in Forbidden Door. I'm actually excited. This is enticing. Pretty good show. Y'all let me know what y'all believe about it or think about it in the comments below. Let me know what I missed out on and any plot holes or storylines I need to be integral or pay attention to. I appreciate y'all. Stay tuned to the next one. Peace.